So welcome to this tutorial about the avatar, the one moves that combine all the 4 elements. It's an interesting idea of how to fit all the 4 elements into 360 degrees, basically into 4 quarters, which means full circle. That means that every quarter you're changing the element. What you'll find out that this is a perfect tool to transition between different timings, as I have mentioned in many of my tutorials, or perhaps heard me saying in a workshop or a retreat, that I always emphasize how easy it is and how kind of inspiring it can be to transition from elements that share the same timing, such as from water to fire or from air to earth. So like if I'm in water, I can easily stop and get into fire, and we have all those pendulum 8s and other moves which allow us to very fluently change, even like basic stalls, change from those in between the 2 elements that share the same timing, because I keep saying that the timing is somehow more important than the direction. So then I keep getting asked, how do you transition between those elements that don't have the same timing but they do have the same direction, right? So you have those 2 groups of elements that can be normally really easily combined within themselves, water and fire, and earth and air, and those 2 can really easily be combined together, and those 2 too, but how do you combine them like across the line? So the avatar also allows you to do exactly that, and it's very exciting. The prerequisites for this are the antispins. So you need to do a nice 4-pedal antispin, and yeah, you'll also benefit from knowing the different types of wall plane antispin flowers. That means the one in fire, both directions. For this particular though, in outwards. You'll benefit from knowing this combination of in-spin and 4-pedal antispin flower, or eventually extension and an antispin, which is hybrid. It's better maybe this way. And you also benefit from just knowing a little bit of like this kind of feeling of air going up, or just being able to do sort of like antispin from bottom up. But even if you don't know these, if you only know the 4-pedal antispin with each hand, well, that means you're aware of the shape and the amount of circles, then you're still good to try this. So first, without poi. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm saying transition between the elements, then you probably haven't watched my video about transitioning between the elements, or you just never thought about it. But you know that in every element, like every quarter of different kind of element, or maybe you call it the mode or whatsoever, you can transition to a different element, right? So if I'm doing this, if I stop here on the side, the 2 horizontal positions, I can go into another element. If I stop at the top and the bottom, I can go to a different element. So basically, any quarter, any position out of all those different positions that we can do within those 4 elements, if I pause in any of the quarters, that gives me certain amount of positions, I guess 16. Then each is mutual for 2 different elements. So that means in any quarter we stop, we can always transition from one element to the other. And because of this idea, the avatar works. But I recommend getting deeper into this and watching the full video about transitioning between the elements. It's an extremely useful technique to learn. So this is the avatar. I'm gonna go from this position. So kind of like air/water mutual position. And I'll go right on top. So I'm going water. Then from here I go to the fire to the side. Then I keep going, I go down to earth and up in air, and I have got back where I started. So you go water to the left. To the left, it's kind of bringing right to the top. So water right on top, fire to the left, earth down, and air up. Yeah. So water, fire, earth, air. So what you'll notice, what's very interesting, is that the right hand actually does a full circle, while the left hand changes direction once, second, and 3rd time. Yeah, it goes down and goes back up, and it goes down and goes back up again. So while left is doing quarters, the right does a full circle, and it's timed in such way that you're always within some element, all the 4 of them. You could also try the same thing going the other direction. So that means when I'm standing here in this position, I can choose, am I going to the water when the right goes on top, or am I going to the water where the left goes on top? So I can go left to the top, And that's gonna mean that now the right hand is gonna be the one that's gonna be doing quarters, and the left is gonna do full circle. So, water, fire, earth, air. Water, fire, earth, air. You could now do the ultimate avatar combination, which means going once with right on top, once with left on top in water. So, I start here, I first go right on top, water, fire, earth, air, and then left on top. Water, fire, earth, air. This is going to be the last thing we're going to do with poi, but before that, we're going to just stick with going one way. So one hand doing a full extension, other one doing quarters. We're trying to now do it with poi. And the result is going to be that the one hand that's doing the full circle is actually now going to do the full 4-pedal anti-spin. And the other hand is just going to keep doing quarters. So we're going to start in same time. Oh yeah, and this is when you start noticing that the timing is changing from same time to split time throughout the move. And it's inconspicuous. So that's the beautiful thing. It's not one of those dirty time changes. It's one of those very soft, nice, gentle, adult ones. So, air. And as I'm going to go up in fire, the direction changes. Then I go to something that reminds you, like if you wanted to do a cap, or if you wanted to do like this flower in fire. So I go to fire, and as soon as the hands meet, they both drop down at the same time and shoot back up to this position. Yeah, I think just for the purpose of learning, it's maybe easier to start in split time already here, even though I eventually always want to be here in the same time. But it's just once you're pausing here, it feels different than when you keep going. So if I start here, I go into fire. So right up, left down, and I keep going to the side, and as soon as the hands meet, I drop them down, and basically the left hand is kind of slowing down, it drops. It really feels like tack, tack. It's like you turn it off, it goes like up and then just keeps going down. Like, and then shoot them back up to this position. And again. Hop. Yeah? And now if you loop it, you will actually avoid this moment when the poi meet here, so it won't feel so significant like you're doing air. But you'll have this, suddenly it will all make a little bit more sense, and you'll feel this like, okay, to the side, up, water. It's hard to say how it exactly feels, depends if you're paying attention to the poi or to the arms. But however, the move is this, and what you can notice now is that my right hand is doing full 4-pedal anti-spin flower, while the left is doing weird kind of quarter back and forth. And so now, depending on when I exit, I may either end up in same time or split time, right? So if I end up here, if I quit here, from here I can go into whatever same time move there is. If I stop in, let's say in this position here, I'm in split time. So again, just like the pendulum 8, which is my favorite move, you know, maybe you've seen the tutorial or into my workshop, it's really my favorite move because it helps you to fluently transition between fire and water, and in a very inconspicuous way where you can't really see that the change happened. Right, this. So I'm in fire, then I'm suddenly in water, and nobody knows how the hell that happened. And it's very fluent. This idea of the avatar also allows you to do that, but it allows you what the pendulum 8 doesn't, and that's the transition between different time and not just different direction. So if you want to do the full avatar, that would mean, like this is already the full avatar, but if you want to, like, say, call it the double super avatar, like, then you would alternate which hand comes on top. So in this position, like I've shown in the beginning, it would change. One's going to be fired to this direction, the second round is going to be fired to that, water. One's going to be water to this direction, one's going to be water to that direction. Yeah. So you can then practice just the other half. So that means from here, maybe for purpose of learning again, I start in water. In split time, sorry. And I'm going to move my left to the top, right to the bottom. And from here, I drop and go back into same time. Yeah. And again, left on top, sideways and up. So again, if I loop this, left is doing a full 4-pedal anti-spin flower, while the right is doing quarter back and forth. And then you can of course alternate those two. So that means once you're gonna go, every time you're here, you're gonna switch. So I'm gonna start with right going to the top. When I'm here, I'm going to switch and it's gonna go right to the left to the top. Yeah, right to the top, left to the top. So then it's kind of like a quite cool move. You could then try to do some kind of body tracing way, like everything. So you could try it. Instead of doing this quarter, I will just do a body traced circle. Kind of radically speed up the other hand, and then it's gonna look like this. Yeah. So one of those quarters is removed by this what I call the armpit scratcher. It's a quite hardcore, quite specific thing. And here, because you're no longer doing the full quarter, it really feels like you have to force it very hard to go from split time to same time back to split time. But this is a possibility. I recommend then here crossing the hands here really in front. And I could, yeah, like transition into it from some of those body tracers. So. Or get into hybrids. Yeah, I really like going under the armpits here. Or into some sort of interesting cat-eye anti-spin thing. So yeah, this move really opens up many possibilities. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've enjoyed this tutorial and not yet signed up to my Patreon or poetutorials.com, then I recommend signing up, as there are hundreds of tutorials like that. So if you enjoy Poi and my approach, please join.